All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. That is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashim, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation. And that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, all right? Now, what brings us to our discussion / topic tonight is Esau Edom's fascination with firearms, all right? Or the sword, okay? Because that is the modern day sword. And by that is what's going to take him out, okay? Because why? That's how he made his living, or should I say killing, all right? Off of the what? Sword, which is his blessing, and we're going to get it, okay? But nevertheless, as I was scrolling through YouTube, this one short came up on my reel, and this, what perceives to be Edomite, so-called white man, who has a fascination with his artillery, used a 50 cal. And if you don't know by now what a 50 cal is, it's a large trajectory that can be shot out of a firearm or a sword, which we know is today's modern day version, a firearm, and even going into what? The missiles, because that's going to be ultimately what takes out Esau Edom, or should I say Babylon the Great, okay? Or what? The missiles. So this guy had a near-death experience, okay? Because why? The 50 cal blew up in his face, all right? And the same thing that happened to him is going to happen to this kingdom, except for this kingdom is going to be destroyed completely. See, he was able to escape that near death, but Babylon the Great will not escape it, all right? So we're going to lead up into that reel and probably play a few more to show you that, this is Esau Edom's blessing, okay? Now, this is on the lower tier or the lower level Edomites, because they don't have the arsenal that these elites have, okay? That have the backing of a United States military, all right? Such as the central bankers, okay? But nevertheless, these low-level, low-tier Edomites, they like to play with the toys that they got, and Jake likes to follow suit, okay? Jake always wants to be part of something else other than what he is, all right? And that's the Israelites, okay? The weapons of our warfare, as it says, are not carnal, okay? Now, is that saying you can't have a gun? No. But if you relying and putting your whole faith in a gun to deliver you in that day, you're going to be sadly mistaken, because we're going to see what could potentially happen if that gun blows up in your face. Literally, okay? As you can see, it's the 6.3 M views, okay? So we're going to let these 1, 2, 3 play up into it, and then we're going to show you what happened when you live by the sword, all right? So check this out.
Today I have something very special to show you. We have as big as you can get when it comes to elephant rifles. This is a 700 Nitro Express, absolute monster. Gonna put it in a lead sled and get behind a truck and pull a string. That's not gonna be cheap, because each one of these rounds is $100 a piece. We're gonna scoot back and pull it. So I got one round left, and I know that you all really want to see somebody shoot this thing. Not the best thing for me to do right now, because my collarbone was sawed open 3 months ago, but my dad has volunteered to shoot this thing, which I think is a little bit crazy for doing
it. Hey, well, you can tell Esau love his goddamn guns, man. This nigga out here shooting a goddamn elephant gun, man. All right, the kickback on that gots to be, traumatic, man.
How bad was that recoil wise?
If I owned this gun, it would be the most unused gun I have ever owned.
The mud really gummed this thing up. Today we're gonna do this torture test, a Desert Eagle. Magnum Research Desert Eagle. So today we are gonna be trying to recreate my accident. Let me go show you what I got set up.
So we getting into it, okay? This is what happened to Esau when he, he got too carried away with these firearms, man. You see, when you put your trust in man, that's why it says in Jeremiah, cursed be the man that put his trust in man. All right, when you put your trust in these man-made firearms, weapons, this is what you can expect to happen. All right, you can expect a blunder. All right, and it can even cost you your life. All right, and in the sense of Esau, Edom's kingdom, it's going to cost him. Okay. Because the same thing that he ruled by is what's going to be what take him down. And ultimately, it's going to be the will of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right? So let's get into it. Let's see the actual incident that took place that almost cost him his existence.
I built and I'm going to tell you about how my 50 cal exploded and I almost bit the dust about 2 weeks ago. So when I pulled the trigger, the gun exploded almost immediately. So the first thing that went was this cap. It's solid steel.
And you think that would be enough to deter him to not want to use these type of artillery anymore? Nope. Because it's in their DNA. It's coded in their DNA, man. All right? They can come back and probably want to shoot a tank or something.
Look right here. The threads are sheared off of this gun. So the cap blows off. This cap hit me right there. It broke my orbital bone in 3 spots, here, here, and here. It also broke my nose. Here's the really bad part though. When the cap blew off the gun, it came straight back, shearing those ears off the lower. One of these zipped right past my head, went inside my hat, and took it off my head, what appears 7 to 8 feet. Now the other one is what almost ended me. The other ear hit me right here.
I mean, look at that. Unless that's some Hollywood makeup, man, that right there should be enough to deter anyone from wanting to come back and, put themselves in that type of, risk at all, man. Nigga got his throat stapled up, okay? But see, Esau Edom, the Lord gonna have to take him down, man. All right, because why? He's a detriment to his own self. All right, he's a detriment to his own self, yet alone those around him. All right, so the Lord is coming to take this damn devil out of power, man.
In the throat. I took my left thumb, wrapped it in my shirt, and I shoved it as far into my neck as possible. So you can see this cut here, and this actually goes all the way down to right here.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 27 and verse 38, going into the blessings. It reads, in Esau, who is Esau? That is Jacob's brother. Not identical, but paternal twin brother. It says, and Esau said unto his father, who is our father? Isaac. Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. And Esau, the so-called self-proclaimed white man, lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. See? And this is fulfilling the prophecy of Job 9 and 24. The earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. All right. This is why this whole place is so screwed up, because the wicked is in control right now. And it's by prophecy. It says, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. So every morning you see how when you go outside and there's dew all over the ground, well, just put that into perspective that dew covers all the earth. That's all Esau Edom's dominion. Because why? He has some type of military base set up in every place throughout the whole earth just about. All right, because why? He lives by the sword. That's his blessing. All right, as we're going to read it, it says, verse 40, and by thy sword shall thou live. See? And this is how he gets down, man. All right. This is how he came into his blessing, the fullness, the fatness of it, by that sword. And we're going to get that in Revelation 13, all right? Because when he made that atom bomb, that pretty much solidified his existence. That pretty much solidified he's here, okay? It says, and by thy sword shall thou live, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off his neck, or off thy neck. See? And by him coming into rulership, that ultimately spelled his downfall, okay? Because now that man of perdition, that man of sin has been revealed. We now know who the Edomites are. We know who Esau is. And we know who's the end of this world, because he will be in rulership. And we know who the beginning of it that follow it. Jacob, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. We got next, and forever, 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 ever. Okay? So this prophecy set the stage for just about everything to be fulfilled. Esau coming into rulership, him getting taken out by the same way he lived, and then we got next, okay? So it says, Genesis 27:40, and by thy sword shall thy live, and shall serve thy brother, right? Because after he's taken out of power, guess what? He's going into slavery, where he's going to serve the Israelites for 1,000 years and then be eradicated off the face of the earth. Unlike all the other nations, after their 1,000 years are up, they'll be allowed to go back to their respective lands and serve us in righteousness. But not Esau, Edom. He's going to be what? Destroyed, done away with, pursuant to what? The book of Obadiah, chapter 1, because there's only one chapter, verse 18. It says, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, and he has the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. See? And by that process of elimination, we know that we have next, man. See, the Lord ultimately put him in a trick bag by having him ask our forefather Isaac for that blessing and giving it to him. This was all set up through what? The Spirit, through prophecy, okay? And it's a beautiful thing to see that we are in these last days, man. See? And the devil, he doesn't understand it. And the word devil just goes into deceiver, false accuser. This devil doesn't understand it that what? He's getting ready to go down, man. By the same way he made a living or a killing is going to be how the Lord takes him out. All right? By the thermonuclear fire, the ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, that these other nations now have the capability of shooting and aiming at Babylon the Great, the United States of America. Okay? So let's go to that in Revelation chapter 13 in verse, let's just jump straight down to the point. 13. It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of man. See? And this is what solidified him actually being who he is, the hammer of the earth. All right? Because with that one incident, that invoked fear throughout all the nations when they seen what type of capability that this devil had, man. And the Lord gave him that technology because why? Going back to Genesis 27, that was his blessing, all right? Let's read it in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, in verse 16. This is Isaiah 54 and 16. It says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. See? So he gave these scientists the technology, the information to make these weapons, all right? Because why? This was going to be this man's demise at the end. It says, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. What is that instrument? Those missiles, or how some of the prophets saw arrows, speaking on Jeremiah's vision. He saw arrows, which are what? The thermonuclear missiles. That's the best way he could describe it at his time was what? Arrows. It says, and I have created the waster to destroy. See? So when he made that atom bomb, that was the beginning of his downfall, because that's the same technology that's going to be used to take him out. All right? Those missiles, those warheads, that's going to detach from the main missile out of the Shilohs. Okay. So going back to where we at? Revelation 13 and 13. It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of man. See? And this is when pretty much he came into power, man. Going back into the Renaissance era. But when he showed this feat, this might, okay, they knew, hey, man, we ain't dealing with no, regular individual. This person got some type of technology we've never seen the likings of. All right? In the same way that damn 50 cal blew up in that dude's face is the same way that America is going to be what? Taken down by what? That fire. Okay? And unlike that guy, America isn't going to survive. Okay? America isn't going to survive. Okay, then that guy got a close call, but he was able to, make another video. See, once Babylon get hit with these missiles, that's it. All right? Let's go there. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. And let's just jump straight down to the point. Verse 4? This is Jeremiah 50 and 24. It says, I, Yahweh, have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon. See? This is not speaking of the physical locale, Babylon, but this is speaking in the spirit, America. And thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught. Why? Because thou hast striven against Yahweh. See? It says, verse 25, Yahweh have opened his armory, which is what? The missiles. It says, and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation. See? So what did Yahweh Shah say? Live by the sword, die by the sword, roughly paraphrasing. We're going to get that next. It says, Yahweh have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation. Why? For this is the work of the Lord, power of hosts in the lands of the Chaldeans. See? Which were some very smart individuals. Okay? Apply that to the day, man. All right? Well, guess what? This is the work of the Lord. All right? In the land of what? Here in the sea to shining sea, America, man. Because no place here in America is going to escape those thermonuclear fires, man. All right? All 10 parts spoken of in Revelation will be hit, man. And it's by no sheer coincidence that you can look on a FEMA map and go to 10 FEMA zones, and you're going to see it covers the whole country of America, man. The 10 FEMA zones, the 10 parts spoken of in Revelation. There's nothing that's going to be outside of that region that survives, that make it. Okay? America is finished, man. All right? It lived by the sword, and it's going to go out by that. Same way. This is St. Matthew 26 and 52. Let's read that. This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 26 and 52. It reads, red letters, Yahweh Shah speaking. Then said Yahweh Shah unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. All right? And we read in the beginning that the sword is this damn devil's blessing. Okay? So this is how he's going to be taken down, man. All right? The Lord got him in the trick bag, and he did not know. Because why? He strived against the Lord. See? He thinks he is the Most High. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 3 or 4. He sit in the temple of the Most High, pretending to be the Most High, roughly paraphrasing. All right? So now the Lord got to take him out of power, man. Okay? He just used him to put him into power, to take the basis of man and bring him up to the point where he's exalted, where everyone thinks of him as being some type of, magical, mystical, powerful entity that nobody can touch. But guess what? The Lord got something for him, man. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai got something for him. And he's going to take him down, and you're going to know without a shadow of a doubt that it was the Lord that did it and no one else. Okay? Because the Lord going to show up alongside those missiles. He going to show up with the chariots, man. So it's going to be a sight to behold when that happens. And we just pray that we on the right side. All right. So let's read it one more time. This is Matthew 26:52. Then said Yahushua unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. See? And that's exactly how Esau Edom has made his living, or should we say killing, by that sword, okay, leading up into the missiles. So this is Jeremiah 51, and let's just get, we can get straight to the point. Jeremiah 51 in verse 10, but the point is at 11. Yahweh have brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahweh our power. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. See? And Russia is going to play a major proponent in this judgment that he's going to use against Babylon the Great. All right? The Medes. Okay? It says, for his device is against Babylon. See? You have to know who Babylon is in the spirit, man. All right? That's how we know America is through, because we lined up prophecy and we see how America is in line with Babylon the Great. All right? And we see how it's going to be taken down. Okay? It says, for his device is against Babylon. To do what? To destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. See? So he's taking these devils out. He's taking this devil out alongside the other nations as well, because they're going down too. For who? The Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, in particular, the elect on this side. Okay? So live by the sword. Hey, all those that take the sword shall what? Perish by the sword. So that's why we're not looking for the sword to deliver us. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 10 in verse 4. It reads, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. See, we're not relying on the likes or the likings of a man's made machine to deliver us. That's why it says in Jeremiah 17 in verse what? Let's read it. This is Jeremiah 17 in verse 5. Thus saith Yahweh, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. So if you put your trust in a firearm that was made by a man, and anything else, it can potentially blow up in your face. No pun intended, or pun intended, like it did in that one clip. It says, thus saith Yahweh, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from Yahweh. See? And that's our people, man. They think they're going to shoot their way out of this. When Jacob's trouble comes, they think they're going to be able to go run down to their basement or their cellar or whatever and get whatever type of firearm they think they got. Man, little do they know, the Lord has made a judgment specifically for them. You may run down there and get your firearm or whatever you got. Next thing you know, you pull the trigger and it blows up in your face. See? It says, for he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabit it. But on the opposite, it says, blessed is the man that trusteth in Yahweh. That's why the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, man. See? We relying on Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, wholeheartedly, solely, only. It says, blessed is the man that trusteth in Yahweh, in whose hope Yahweh is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters. See? So we understand when this devil rolls in like a flood, that guess what? The spirit of Yahweh is going to lift up that standard, man. And we going to be the weapons. See, we ain't going to have to run out into the cellar or the cellar or the basement or wherever you got your firearms stashed away. We ain't gonna have to do that, man. The Lord's gonna charge some of us up on this side to be the weapons, to be his meat. All right? It says, for he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh. But her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. Now, I want to see if I can get that verse in, might be Timothy, where we're going to be the meat for the master, man. Okay? This is 2 Timothy 2:21. It says, if a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and meet for the master's use. Who is the master's use? Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh through his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. See, he's going to charge some of us to be what? The meat. Okay? Let's look into that word meat. Because we ain't going to need no weapons, man. We're going to be the master's meat, his tool. You know? This is the Greek word.
Strong's G 2173. Euchrestos. Euchrestos.
It goes into easy to make use of, useful. So we're going to be the master's meat. Useful, easy to make use of. And he's going to use us as his what? Battle axe. Okay? So it says, if a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and meet or useful for the master's use. See? And we know, pursuant to Jeremiah 51, that he's going to make us his battle axes of weapons to beat down these other nations. It says, and prepare unto every good work. Let's see how this reads in a different translation. You know, we probably go to NLT. If you keep yourself pure, you will be a special utensil for honorable use. See? We going to be the weapon, man. It says your life will be clean and you will be ready for the master to use you for every good work. And part of that good work is taking down these other nations, man. And it ain't going to be with no elephant rifle or no 50 cal or anything else. It's going to be with what? Your body as the weapon. Okay? The Lord's going to charge us, man. We're going to get spiritual powers, man. All right? This is Jeremiah. You got to believe this. Okay? You got to, or else why are you here? Oh, that's far out, brother. I don't know if I can. Hey, man, well, you ain't in the faith. You got to examine yourself. 2 Corinthians 13:5. All right? Whether you be in the faith or not, because this is all part of the faith. This is Jeremiah 51 and verse 20. It reads, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. See? So we ain't worried about no 50 cal, no elephant rifle, or anything else to deliver us, because we see what can happen, man. Okay? Especially if you put your trust in that. All right? It could blow up in your face, literally. Okay? So back to 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4. It reads what? For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. See? We coming out the truth. Thus saith the Lord, man. We reading the Bible. And just us reading the Bible alone with having the understanding is causing this devil to tremble, to shake in his boots. And this is why he's making his move. This is why he's going to roll in like that flood in the book of Isaiah 59 and verse 19. All right? Because why? This truth is hitting him more harder than any carnal weapon could. Okay? Because why? It's exposing him. It says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. See? But mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. Just as out there preaching and teaching and exposing this devil. It's enough to make him want to move in and come in like that flood. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High. Right? And that's this damn devil, Satan, the adversary, the so-called self-proclaimed white man. All right? Pulling down all his lies that he have propped himself up over the years and centuries with Christianity. Being the number one imagination. You know, that Jesus, the so-called, white man, is the savior, the Messiah, and the Father, is also a so-called white man. No, man, them all lies, man, according to the Holy Bible. See? But some of our people, sadly mistaken, still want to believe those lies. So guess what? They're going to be destroyed right along with them. It says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach, the Savior, the Anointed, Yahweh Shai. Okay? That's why we give all praises to who? Yahweh, the Father, by Hashem, in the name Yahweh Shai, the Savior. All right? Because that's going to be the only persons that deliver us, Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai. Not your firearm, not your prepping, not your planning. None of that shit's going to deliver you. Okay? If you're not of the elect, you through, man. Not saying you can't have any of those things, but that's not going to be the end all be all that deliver you. All right? It's going to be whether or not you of the elect. Okay? So that's pretty much going to conclude the lesson. We're going to go ahead and close out with 1 Peter, because I can't imagine that there's any other precepts that I can think off the rip right now that we didn't cover for this lesson. So we just go ahead and go to 1 Peter 5 and 8 and close it out. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See, understanding that you're not going to be delivered by some cardinal way. All right. Something that you do in the flesh ain't going to deliver you. In that time, Jacob's trouble, leading up into what? The missiles destroying America and us being delivered in the chariots, the so-called UFOs, if we have that number. All right? You're not going to be able to shoot your way out and get into the chariot. No, man. See, the Lord already knows who's his and who's predestined to receive that salvation, that deliverance. All right? And there's no way you're going to be changed in the twinkle of an eye with a firearm strapped across your shoulder, shooting it out in Jacob's trouble. No, man, the Lord's going to perform miracles for you, including delivering you when the missiles come to destroy Babylon the Great. So it says, be sober, be vigilant. Understand these things, all right? That's why you got to put your trust and faith in who? Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai, or Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, or Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Both ways, just put your trust in Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai. Okay, but you can't go through the Father without going through the Son. So it says, be sober, be vigilant. Understand these things. Why? Because your adversary, the devil, he already knows this. All right? And this is why he gave Jake a little feel of that power and allowing him to somehow recapture some of his blessings by holding, just as much, if not more, power than the average Edomite. Because I've seen Jake, holding that 50 cal the same way, but he holding it standing up and shaking the ground, dirt and dust coming off, man. Matter of fact, let me get that. Now that I think about it, if I can find it. Give me 1 second. Because I'm going to show you how Jake do it compared to how Esau Edom did it. Give me 1 second. So check out Jake, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Show you how what's tactical turkeys do.
Man got dust kicking up under his boots, man. See? But that's Jake, man. Jake, get a little taste of Esau Edom blessing, man, and he loses his mind, man. He want to go join the military, fight for this damn devil, use his weapons, but you can't deliver yourself, Jake, by this man's blessing. We got our blessing, man. All right, it's spiritual powers, man, and that's what we're going to have to rely on in that day. All right, so let's go ahead and go back out and finish in 1 Peter 5 and 8. So this is back in 1 Peter 5 and 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, right? See? He wants you in that false sense of security that, somehow you can obtain the same weapons that he gave, his lower tier Edomites here, down here, in the same quote unquote plight as us that going to work. No, man. Our deliverance ain't coming by the way of carnality in these weapons, man. Now, if that's what you like to do in your spare time, go to the gun range and shoot and stuff like that, that's fine. By all means necessary. Go enjoy yourself. Relieve some stress. Go take a few rounds. But to think that it's going to be the end all be all, that how you going to deliver yourself from the judgments that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai has coming for you, you're sadly mistaken, man. So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right? Don't buy into it, man. All right? The weapons of our warfare are not carnal. All right? We're spiritual people. Okay? So with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, until if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. Hey, we're almost home. Shalom. Peace.